What's up, guys? Welcome back. Another new episode. We got a bunch of updates on the tube chassis you see right behind me and a bunch of other stuff. So come and check it out. All right, so you see we got the roof section started. We got the window A in there. The pillars are in. Finished boxing in the link pivots here. Most of these tubes, like this one right here, is single passed. Most of them are double passed right now. Gonna go through and finish a couple of the second passes, and then we're gonna get the back wall section in there complete. We can't do the bottom yet. A couple of the tubes came back in the wrong diameter, so we're gonna switch those out, and so we'll get the bottom in later. But looking to get the whole roof and everything done in the next day or so, and then move on to the next step. All right, so after we're done with the cab portion, we are going to remove a lot of these fixtures because we won't need them anymore. They'll just be in the way. And then we're gonna slide this thing forward, and then we're gonna get the fuel cell section on the table as well. And then we're gonna connect the back wall with the fuel cell and get the whole middle of the truck, kind of the back middle of the truck in there and complete. It's already all laser cut, so we just got a couple more fixtures for that, and then this thing will actually almost be a complete chassis ready to go. All right, so here you see we have our mid plate in there on its own fixture. So this is where the motor would go here, trans on the back side, and here we have the mid plate tubes with the bungs already in them. So we'll get those in here, get the bungs on these bolts, and get that section tied into here. So then that will establish where our motor and trans goes. And then once this is in, we could start all the center console area tubes and get the whole middle of the truck, the lower middle of the truck, pretty much 100% done. All right, so the fuel cell on the tube chassis truck is actually an identical fuel cell to this truck, and the tubes from here back are identical for this truck. So we took that existing part we already had and we made it work with our tube chassis truck, so we can basically interchange all these fuel cells with all of our builds with the radius style tube back half. So we already have this sub-assembly built and welded out completely for the tube chassis truck. So that's what you'll see in the next step of the fixtures. We'll be getting this on the back of the tube chassis truck. What are we working on?
Lacing up the floor. No, what are we doing? I forgot.
You were right.
Lacing up the floor to the center mount. Yeah. Tying it all in. Gonna have the motor put in next. That's about it. It's all in it.
Where did we start from and how did we get to where we are now?
A lot of tape measures and plumb bobs and long straight things. Yeah, I said that. Anyways. But yeah, now it's here. It's together. And yeah, that's all I got.
All right, there you go.
There you go.
Nailed it. I think we're going to use all of that. We're going to use all of it. That was really good.
In the bloopers section.
So to further explain what Evan explained is we got the bulkhead with our little frame connector pieces all set up here on the gray truck, which you can tell was originally not a tube chassis. So we got that all set up. We got it tied into the A-pillar. It was his idea to cut it off here and tie it in a little further back. We tied into our original tubes here with this bent tube, so it kind of looks like it was that plan from the beginning, because obviously the original plan, this thing was not a center mount, so we wanted to tie it in as seamlessly as possible, so that's where we got to where we are now. It'll have the same mid plate center console tubes as the Tundra, and yeah, we'll probably mock up the motor and trans in this thing next, and then hopefully start getting some of the suspension pieces all welded up and fit. All right, here back on the gray truck, you can see that big, crazy billet transmission in there. That's a Albin's ST6 sequential. So it's a sequential 6-speed. It runs a torque converter. And then everyone's gonna ask about the alternator. That is a secondary alternator. We'll still have one on the engine. We could put both on the engine, but since we're running air conditioning also, there's pretty much no room to run 2 alternators and AC up there. So I got second one here. We got all these center console tubes done. Got the mid plate in there, got our mock-up block in, got most of these tubes all done. We're gonna do something different on the top here, because this is we're gonna do a top mount for the trans. So we're probably gonna do some sort of billet mount that bolts on here, and then there'll be a removable panel on the interior, so you can take that out and then take the mount off from inside the truck. And depending on how we do the alternator, we might do some access panels over there as well for the alternator. But right now we're gonna start getting some this front tube right here for the seat, and then start getting the seats mocked up in here and see if we want to change these tubes at all, maybe add a bend, get some more leg room. But right now we're looking pretty good to leave these in here straight. So yeah, I'm excited to drive this truck and just with that trans. We haven't built a truck with that trans yet. They all get turbo 400s and 4L80s, so this is a little different for us. The price is pretty different, you know, to run this all set up by the time you get the torque converter and the shifter. And the shifter is about $2,500. It has a load cell in it that'll cut the ignition when you shift. That's why every time you shift, you'll hear like a pop. It's ignition cut, because you can't just leave it floored and shift the sequential like that. So that's pretty cool. So that whole setup all said and done with this is about 40 grand. So yeah, it's a nice, it's cool that we're building a pre-runner with this, because it's not too common that you see this trans in a pre-runner truck. So real excited about that. All right, little progress on the Willys. We got the power steering, reservoir, and cooler set up. A bunch of cool stuff going on the front bumper. It takes a 20-inch single row Baja Designs right here. Then the Fairleaf for the winch goes here. Winch is back here behind the grill. The grill kind of fits in here and kind of hides everything. It's got kind of that old school Stinger mixed with like a new school kind of race car look. So that's pretty cool. And then we got the steering rods done. This is a 1.25 inch 3/8 wall, 4130. And then we got the power steering solution 6.5 inch stroke ram in there, tabbed out as well. So they have full ram assist steering with the steering box. Yeah, just kind of going through, getting all the little tabs and bracketry done so we can get this thing torn apart and down to powder coat. Got the fuel regulator up here, the Hale regulator, all set up, ready to go. Moving along to the back. We decided to put a big ass cooler in here. So that's pretty cool. Obviously it's sitting in there right now. We're gonna do some hold downs for it right here. We have little cutouts right here so you can get to the straps. So that'll be pretty cool. We're gonna panel this whole front area right here and break the panel up towards the back, the cab. And then we're gonna do our speed tools mount, jack handle, fire extinguisher. And then this setup right here is for the rear mounted AC condenser that's over there on the ground. It's got 2 fans on it, so we'll run that for the AC. This whole top panel will get Line-X'd. We're gonna probably take this cooler over to Line-X, have Line-X the top of it as well. This will give you a nice, good area to sit or stand when you're spectating at King of the Hammers or something like that. But yeah, this thing's really close to being torn down and sent off to powder coat. So stay tuned. All right, here we have some hardware kits in final QC for our Raptor arms. So these are Gen 1, Gen 2 Raptor replacement upper arms. So they run a uniball, rod ends over here, get a little more adjustment, more strength, durability, more range of motion, and just overall better product. So we have them in our standard gold. And this time around, we did a couple of different colors. So this is like the Fox orange. So it matches like the factory shocks that come on some of the Gen 2s. So we had some requests for that, so we did that. We got the full blackout edition here, black anodize. Pretty cool looking once they're on there. Everything's just all kind of blacked out. And we got some raw dogs here, just full raw aluminum straight off the machine with the uniballs installed. So this is just straight raw aluminum, no clear or anything on it. So now we got 4 different options for our Raptor arms, and you could purchase all of these at toptiersuspensions.com. All right, some IFS Jeep updates. We got the bumps all done, the engine cage is all done. We prepped some of this stuff so we could start figuring out how to paint it. He wants it all this red color, so I'm not sure if we're gonna pull the motor and pull everything out and then get it done like that. But I got the intake done, so we remade that. It used to have like a couple 90s here, so we just simplified it, 190, and then built the rest out of aluminum tube. A little clamp right here to keep it from moving around. So that'll be nice. Yeah, and we were showing you the bump stops earlier and how we had to clearance the core support. So if you look right here, so that right there fits right around the bump stop and then allows you to bolt this factory core support setup back on. Obviously, it's highly modified with our brackets and stuff, but that all bolts right back on. And we showed you before, we cut it off here and then made it bolt on to the firewall area, just so we can get it out of our way and really get in here and work on this truck without having this in our way. So turned out really nice, and it'll make it easier to pull the motor too, because we can just pull this and then the motor pretty much just comes right out. So hopefully next time you see this, it'll be all shiny red and we'll be bolting it back together. We got all the suspension off to touch it up with some black steel it, and then axle measurements are out. Spider Tracks is making all our axles right now. And then we got a little update on the top here. We got a Baja Designs light bar. So we just made some brackets to bolt onto the pillar here. We're gonna add a couple, like a Heim joint from here to here, just to keep it stable. I mean, it's already pretty stable right now. So yeah, I'll just add that, give it a little trick adjustment in there, and then send that bracket off to powder coat as well. And then Cade's in the middle working on the seat mounts as well. So this thing's really getting close to going to final plumbing and wiring. So stay tuned for that one as well. Small little update on the gray truck. You saw the Albins we got in here. We just decided to machine up our own trans mount for here. It's got these threaded spots on the top of the trans for the mount. So we made this little wing right here, and then we haven't tied it into the chassis yet, but we're gonna box these threaded bungs into this tube right here to hold the trans. So that'll actually be the trans mount. There's no other spots on the bottom that are threaded or anything to mount it. So that's where it gets mounted from. So it's full solid mount there with the mid plate. You can also see all the center console tubes are done. You can see this is a little different. So we got this bend here now. It used to go straight from here to here, but after we got the seat in there, we didn't really like the room that we were getting on our legs. So we cut the tube out there, added this bent one in, pushed the seat over, and then got it in a lot better spot. And then we changed these tubes as well. They used to be straight also. We added a little bend right here just to get more room on your knees. Everything's tied in now. This is all welded. We got to pull the trans out and finish welding in here. But seat mounts are all established. And then we went to the back and started getting those all mounted. So it's the same 4 seats in all 4 spots. Those are some nice hard shell PRP seats right there. You see on the back, added some tubes in for the mounts, similar style front and back. There we got a little tricky with that mount to tie it into everything. But seat mounts are pretty much done. Just got to pull a bunch of stuff out of the way so we can finish welding, and then add our seat belt bar back here. And then we're almost to the point where we can start sheet metal in the floor. So yeah, this thing's coming along really good, and I'm really happy we went with that billet mount. It's just really the only way to accent this nice billet trans is with a nice billet mount. So yeah, there you have it. Here we have our completed Speed Tools quick release mount. So it's got quick release there, and I'll show you how the toolbox goes in there. It's It's a little difficult not when this isn't bolted down, but you get the idea. So the wheel on this end, so yeah, that's in there. So the wheel on this end, you see right there, those two tabs kind of lock in right there above the wheel, and that's what holds it in there on that end. So you can see right here, it's fully in there, solid. So barely any wiggle room in this thing. And then what we offer now with it is this strap. So I had this strap made with this little soft pad right here, so this ratchet doesn't beat up the box too much.
That's what she said.
So you hook that in there, hook that in there. And that's just a little extra insurance to make sure this thing doesn't go anywhere. So you can see, holds it in there nice and tight. It's easy to remove. Let's take that off of there. And then so here you pull this pin, pick it up, slide it out. And then that would stay on your vehicle or in your chase truck or anywhere that you have that mounted, and toolbox comes out. So just a nice mounting solution to your Speed Tools kit. Right, another cool product that we came up with late in 2020 is this fuel cell cradle for our custom Pyrotech fuel cell for 2007 and up GM 1500. So it's the same fuel cell that we ran in the Raptor Punisher. And the cool thing about this one is it runs a sway bar tube through it. So it goes through right here and has these brackets right here that integrate the sway bar tube into it. So something we came up with after running another brand fuel cell. It's around 32 gallons, and we still offer a cradle for that as well. But we wanted something a little nicer and a little more fuel capacity, so we got around 37 gallons out of this fuel cell, and with the option to run the sway bar. So this particular customer is not going to run the sway bar because he's running leaf springs, and the sway bar tube would come out and hit the leaves. So we're just going to weld this up like this and send it to him as is, and then the fuel cell will go to him as well. But just a nice product for your Chevy 1500 trucks. So basically on your truck, this would mount on the bottom of the frame. So this would be towards the bottom of the truck, and the frame is about a 1/4 inch wider than this thing overall. And the inside of the cell basically fits in between the frame rails by maybe a 1/2 inch on each side. So we maximized capacity there. And then this part right here, you'll have to add a square tube or some channel on the back of the chassis to bolt this to. But basically this caps off the back of your truck perfectly, and then you get all these mounting locations to securely get it in the truck. Another cool thing about this cradle and fuel cell is it fits completely under the bed, so you don't have to remove the bed of the truck to run this. On the Raptor Punisher, it's all under the bed, and we run the fuel filler off to one side, so you don't have a fuel filler coming out the middle of your bed in the way. So it's all off to one side. It's got an integrated internal fuel pump in the fuel cell. So plumbing and all that stuff and wiring is super simple. It works great, and it gets the weight towards the rear of the truck and down. So it helps out a lot with the handling of the truck. And it's a night and day difference with the sway bar as well. I drove the Raptor Punisher build without the sway bar and then drove it with it. And you could definitely feel the difference with the sway bar. And you get the sway bar arms and all that stuff from us as well. We sell all this as a complete kit. And you can get it at Kibbetech.com. What are you up to, Toast?
No. You little jerk.
What are you working on, Toast?
We're finishing up some more fixtures. Basically, we're.
Oh man, I'm tired.
No, we have some the last minute fixtures. The last part of the fixture is the back half. So, just finishing that part of it up.
Yeah, it's the fuel cell cradle I told you about, and that's the fixtures we're finalizing so we can get that whole chassis all together.
Yeah, and just like how he had mentioned, I'm sure a few times, this whole cab's going to be moved forward to get these fixtures on there. So these will be eliminated, and this guy will scoot over, and that should be pretty much it. We have a couple of these that are going to get tied in also, just to make sure they're all true. But that's pretty much it. That's the last bit of what we have now, and then after that, we're going to go to the front end. Start finishing up the front end. We have a few ideas for that, so that'll be pretty cool to show some of the front end suspension, motion.
Just a little bit of it. We're not going to give too much away.
So all the steering, all that jazz is going to be on there. So, and machining for that's going to be pretty soon also, actually. So that'd be cool. But yeah,
There you go.
that's it. Toast out.
All right, so here you see a truck that you have not seen yet on our channel. It's probably one of our biggest builds to date. We just got it back from wiring, but we're not going to dig into it too much right now. We're going to get into it next week on next week's episode, so don't forget to like and subscribe so you won't miss this thing.